Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports. This is a continuation of the video I was doing earlier on live. Thank you to Windows. This video is sponsored by Windows, and those people behind it, I think it's funny to do updates in the middle of my live shows, which means when I'm doing these live shows, an update comes up, shuts the system down without even notifying me, and then we're back to square one. So apologies to those people who were listening to it early on. I'll just recap, and I'll continue from where I was. I was just basically saying that Dave Allen, a guy that has, I've spoken to him, and I've known Dave for a number of years now, before he even got on the Sky platform, when he was still struggling to sell tickets, and we were doing our best at Baylor 8 TV to get his name out there. Now, as I was saying, I think not just the British Boxing Board of Control, I think that all boxing boards of controls should not only study the physical conditions of a fighter, but the emotional state and the mental state of any fighter that gets him. I'm not just singling out Dave Allen, because I think that, okay, a guy, there's no way Dave Allen should be getting in the ring unfit and fighting. Absolutely none. Short notice or not, it just shouldn't be happening. You're a professional fighter. You should keep yourself in shape. I know that's hard, sometimes harder said than done, but I still think it should be done. It's still something that should be considered, because it's dangerous. It's dangerous for the sport. Guys getting in the ring who are not in shape in fights. And you saw Dave Allen from round two, he was blowing hard. There are people out there that would want to see Dave Allen in the big fights, and I understand that. I'll say, yeah, he's getting paid. But no way do I want to see Dave Allen against Big Baby Miller. Big Baby Miller be too big for Dave. That's the first thing. And one thing he does do, he seems to have good, decent fitness, and he's got a work rate, and he's just consistent. And I just think that he's going to keep hitting Dave Allen. If Dave Allen's getting hit by that nobody, not nobody, but a guy that nobody really knew about, not being disrespectful, every person's of somebody, but in terms of our knowledge of him, who was unidentified or unidentifiable in terms of British boxing, we understood what it was about. It was Dave Allen getting out, fighting. But like I said, if you're going to get out, you're going to be fighting, you're going to pay-per-view cards, at least take the time to get yourself in shape. Take the time to, take care of yourself. It's a pay-per-view show. You're on it. Put on a good show. And of course, you keep on doing that. You seem to have crowds following you, and you've got support. Just keep rising. Get yourself for 2019, a training camp, and discipline, and just do it, because you're going to look back at this afterwards, Dave, when you've retired and you can't box anymore. You're going to look back and say, I could have done so much more. And I said in my previous video, I said these fights that Dave's knocking these guys over, yeah, it looks great, it looks fine, but mentally it's not great, because that's not building confidence. It's not building confidence when you're not training as well as you should be, and then going in the ring and knocking a guy over. That's not building confidence. Building confidence is getting yourself into good shape, fighting a decent level of opposition, and beating him. Like the Nick Webb fight, that was a confidence fight, because a lot of people didn't think that he would have beaten Nick Webb, but he beat Nick Webb, and that was good for him. Now, if he goes out there and he beats someone like Joe Joyce, because Dave can take a decent punch, he takes a good punch, and if he can just, quicken up his feet, he'd be an interesting fight for Joe Joyce, because Joe Joyce doesn't throw punches fast. He's quite slow on clubbing. But I think Dave Allen would be that sort of matchup. Is a sort of matchup I'd like to see Dave in. But Dave takes too many punches. He takes too many right hands. If he can work on shifting, work on blocking punches, or at least tighten up that defense, I wouldn't mind seeing a fight like that. Dave should be targeting a British title, in my opinion. Targeting a British title, getting a team together, targeting a British title, and going for it. He's got the pay-per-view platform. Do it. Instead of putting these performances on and say, oh, well, I wasn't at my best, or I didn't train hard enough, it's not good. If Dave Allen was in shape, he'd be a super middleweight. Oh, I'm not too sure about that, but Dave is quite a solid guy. He's a heavyweight, all right. I know him. I've been physically up close with him. I've even been in a ring with him. He is a heavyweight. There's no doubt about that. He's definitely a heavyweight. It wasn't a pleasant experience. But no, he is a heavyweight. A lot of love for Dave Allen. And I just want to see him, because promoters don't care. Like I was saying, promoters don't care about you. You're just another body. That's all you are. You're a body that brings money in. That's it. Promoters haven't got time to be emotional with this fighter and that fighter. If you decide not to get in shape, it's not the promoter's problem. It's your problem. So there's accountability. So that's where my thoughts are with Dave Allen. Don't want to see him in near any big fights until he can get himself physically and mentally right to get in the ring. Mentally meaning if I'm on the show and I'm fighting, I'm going to be in shape. I'm going to give it my best shot, win, lose or draw, as opposed to I'm not going to be in the best of shape, but I'll win this one. You can't do that in boxing, not long term. So that's what I want to see for that. And those people who don't like the idea of me saying, I don't want to see Dave Allen in big fights when he's not prepared and he's not good enough, then tough. I actually am not one of these people who are just going to put a guy in a fight or see a guy fight when he's going to get a hiding and say, oh, you can come back, you can put up a good effort. Put up a good effort and then, you know, shorten your boxing career even further by taking a whole heap of blows for no reason whatsoever. I don't understand. I don't understand that. Tom Little versus David Price. David Price, there was talk about him fighting Carlos Takam. Right. And now they're talking about him fighting Tom Little. I think it's a decent fight there. Should be on a paper. I don't think it should be on a pay-per-view card. If it is, it's not lower down a pay-per-view card. Yeah, like Tom Little, good guy, you know, cracking personality. But I just think Price punches way too hard. And if there's anything left, if you talked about Price versus Little like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, you'd be looking at Price going and doing a demolition job within a couple of rounds. Price hits that hard. So I think 3-4 rounds of Price Little, I think Price is above. No disrespect to Tom Little, but I expect Price to knock Tom Little out early-ish. For Tom to win the fight, he's got to get inside and land a big one on Price's chin. That's it. If Callum Smith wasn't in any shape, he'd be heavyweight. Callum Smith is taller with a much bigger reach than Dave Allen. Callum Smith was the same size as Usyk when they were side by side. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. But you know, there are other things in boxing you've got to take into consideration. And you will look up. You look at the thickness of a guy's legs. So even if his upper body loses the weight, the thickness of the legs is a problem. Naz, if you look at Naz's legs, his Naz were big. A lot of guys, you'll hear them a lot in amateur boxing. They've got really big, thick tree trunk of legs. And they're the reason why they are heavier a weight. So not so much top heavy, but bottom heavy. So that's a problem right there. So you got to look at Dave Allen's whole body composition. And if you look at his legs, he can't get down. There's no way he get down super middleweight. Ridiculous. Because if you look at Callum Smith, height-wise, fine. He can put some meat on there. And he looks gaunt at super middleweight anyway. So he looks light heavy, possibly cruiserweight. But heavyweight, that's pushing it. I think Smith makes a decent light heavy, pushing it at cruiserweight. So yeah, I don't, you know. So those are my thoughts on that. I'm just going to finish up this video as well. I understand. I don't know. I heard DJ Slick. Shout out to Kenny there. He wanted to ask my opinion on Anthony Yarde and him potentially fighting Andre Fonfara. I think Andre Fonfara. Andre Fonfara, from what I remember, was the guy that fought Nathan Cleverly. Cleverly went over to America to fight Fonfara in a complete bloodbath. Fonfara beat Nathan Cleverly that night. Fonfara is long in the tooth. He is an experienced fighter for real. He's an experienced fighter. He can fight. Fonfara's fight. He's tough. He's strong. He's old school. He's an experienced veteran fighter. Anthony Yarde, he's young. He's strong. He's powerful. He's got the moves. He's got the looks. He's got everything there to be a world champion. But and I'll be honest. I've seen Anthony in training, and he's looked wonderful in training. Power. When he hits those pads, pow! He does some amazing thing with him and Tunde Ajayi. And Tunde Ajayi, the shout out to him for sticking by his guns and working with his fighter to get his fighter into the position that he's in today. That takes a lot. to have a fighter, not just to get him to #1 in WBO rankings. Hey, he's WBO ranked #1, he fought no one. But if you look at the sponsorship deals that Yarde's got, you name me any other fighter in British boxing, bar Anthony Joshua, right? That's got as many sponsorships that's been seen on Sky and Box Nation or BT Sport. Amazing. That's great, great, great marketing. So Anthony Yarde is probably one of the best boxing marketed fighters in Britain today, outside of Anthony Joshua. That's because Joshua actually is a heavyweight Olympic champion. For a guy who didn't have an Olympic background, for a guy that didn't have a lot of amateur fights, Tunde Ajayi and Anthony Yarde are doing a killing. They've got a sponsorship of Adidas. They're doing clothing. That's the way you market a fighter. That is the way you market fight. People today have not got a clue about marketing fighters, and they're doing a fantastic job. All these people that are in PR and saying they're in PR, they ain't got a clue about marketing. They've not got a clue. All they want to do, a lot of these PR people, they want to be the person to say, you can do this interview, you can't do this interview, and and maybe push the fight in a certain direction. But they've got no clue about marketing. If they want to have a clue about marketing, look at Tunde Ajayi. Look at what he's done at Anthony Yarde, and then look at what you're doing with your fighters. Anthony Yarde and Tunde Ajayi are everywhere. They're literally everywhere. For a guy that doesn't have an amateur background, right, or any significant amateur background, they have done phenomenal things. And even if Anthony Yarde now goes out and gets the brakes beaten off of him, let me tell you something. They've set this guy up. They've set this guy up, right? And I don't care what fans think about, oh, well, he's not fought the best guys, and that's fine. But you're not paying. When he fights the best, one of the best guys, or the best guys, you'll tune in for that. But until he gets to that point, I think that they've done a stellar job with him. It is a bit annoying that he isn't fighting the best guys, but I understand it and I get it, and I get Tunde Ajayi, and it's just frustration because he's such a talented guy. We want to know how good he is. Now, knocking over the guys he's been knocking over so far is one thing, but one thing I have noticed in boxing, and it's happened a lot of times where I've backed guys who've got all the talent in the world, they look great and they step up, is when they hit someone with a right hand, bang, and that guy can take it. And then the punches start flying back. And then they're in a fight where they're getting hit and they're getting hurt and they're getting wobbled, and all their best punches is bouncing off the other guy. We're yet to see what happens when that happens to Anthony Yarde. When you believe your punching power can knock everybody out. And it don't matter what you've done in sparring, because in sparring you do 3, 4, 12 rounds. It's okay, you take your head gun off, you go home. Under controlled environment to set. When you are in a real fight under lights and this is happening, it's a totally different situation. And that really is going to be the test. I personally would have rather seen Anthony Yarde fight Frank Buglioni, but I understand that Buglioni was, I don't know how true this is, he was ill-advised, or who was advised not to fight Anthony Yarde and turned down something like $250,000 to fight Anthony Yarde. I don't know how true that is. Callum Johnson is a dangerous man. Hey, listen, that guy is dangerous, and he could, well, if marketed, managed right, he could end up being a world champion in the future. If managed and trained correctly, he could be a world champion at Callum Johnson. He has got some dynamite in both hands. And the fact that he dropped Artur Beterbiev, and Beterbiev punches like a mule, and he got off the deck. Listen to me. That guy, Callum Johnson, has got to give lots of credit. He hasn't fought for so long, and he went and did that to Beterbiev, who is one of the leading light heavyweights in the world. That guy is dangerous. That guy is dangerous. So I've got a lot of respect for Callum Johnson, and I'd like to see him fight more regularly. So Yarde versus Frank Farah, a dangerous fight. And then you're talking about potentially Badou Jack. Are you crazy? Badou Jack. Badou Jack is one of the stellar light heavyweights in the world. And this guy has gone back and forth with Adonis Stevenson. And Adonis Stevenson is one of the biggest punchers, pound for pound, in world boxing. And he can, and you know, Adonis can box a bit. And Badou Jack gave Adonis what for? That is not a fight that I would want to see Anthony Yarde in, because what I can see happening there is Badou Jack closing the range down. Badou Jack is a master of closing the range down and distance and timing, and those sort of things you learn Because that's a big step up from fighting guys that you've been in control of and controlling fights to a guy who now has the ability to control you, to pick you back, take what your best shots, push you back, and you know that's a fight I would not want to see. Badou Jack versus Yarde. I think that's a fight that for me I would want to avoid. Tunde Jai knows best, but I personally wouldn't want to see that fight. Not now, not yet. I'd want to see Yarde come through some tests first before that. Definitely not. That's not the fight I would not want to see a gut check in. Isaac Chamberlain's a perfect example. He should really be a super middleweight, but he has thick legs. Okoli has thin legs and can make cruiserweight as a 6'5" guy. Okoli, yeah, that's true. While he was 6'7" as a cruiserweight in the amateurs and in the Olympics, Usyk was 2008 Olympics, was 1 win away from fighting Wilder in the 2008 semis. Both lost to the Italian. Okay. Anthony Yarde is in a division full of world-class punchers. Kovalev, Stevenson, Bertibov, I keep saying the name wrong. Godzi, Bivol, Joe Smith, Alvarez. Unlucky to be in a division full of punchers. He is in a division full of punches, indeed. BPM, I agree there. That is he is in a. You have to pick your position. You have to pick and pick carefully who you fight in this division. It's like heavyweight division. You really do. You either wait until they get old, or Donnie Stevenson, look for a crack and see if Donnie Stevenson lose there. You look at the Donnie Stevenson side. Bivol, no Bivol. Look across again. Kovalev. I take a Kovalev fight. I think I take a Kovalev fight. Why I take a Kovalev fight? Kovalev is slow when he puts his punches together. Yarde's got enough speed there to take a chance on the Kovalev, but I wouldn't want Yarde getting clipped by Kovalev. But Kovalev, yes, I would faster see Yarde fight Kovalev than he would fight Badou Jack. Badou Jack got dog in him. Kovalev, when you put it on him, he don't like to fight, and his chin is questionable. Another fight I would not want to see Yarde in is against Alvarez. No, these guys, the amateur backgrounds, dangerous fights. I'd like to see Yarde marinate and fight guys at British level. Stick around British level, win a European title, defend the European title, wait till these guys age out, and then make you move on to the world scene. Timing is everything. Definitely going to need in the light heavyweight division. Or move up to the cruiserweight. No, maybe not. Maybe you move up to the cruiserweight division. Maybe Yarde can move up to the cruiserweight division. But may have a better chance there. You that light heavyweight speed. Who knows? Badou Jack versus Yarde. Yarde hasn't even stepped up to the domestic level. What happened with when Bugniam Watsi called him out? Interesting. Badou Jack had 2 fights at light 175, going overboard, calling him a stellar light heavyweight when he's also a slow starter. Man, listen, I'm calling him a stellar light heavyweight. I'm calling him a stellar light heavyweight because, to me, the first fight he stepped up, he fought Nathan Cleverly, beat him there. The second fight he stepped up, he fought Adonis Stevenson. He didn't get smashed to pieces in those fights. So I'm calling him a stellar heavyweight, light heavyweight, because I'm looking at what he's done. What he's done and what he can do. And you can put him against any of those light heavyweights in the world, and I have no problems with him. I'd put him against Bivol, no problems. I put him against Kovalev, no problems. I put him against any I can't even pronounce the name. Artur Beterbiev, I'll put him in Artur Beterbiev because he's got the boxing ability, he's got defense, he can fight offense. He's a complete fighter. He can fight on the inside, he can fight on the outside, he can box off the back foot. A complete fighter. He isn't just fighting one way. He can fight on the inside, he can fight on the outside. You know what I mean? And he's fought from super middleweight up to light heavyweight. So he has got natural speed coming up as well. And he went 12 rounds against the biggest puncher, one punch hitter in the light heavyweight. So yeah, I'm backing Badou Jack. So you're entitled to your own opinion, mate. But I think Badou Jack is sometimes, you got to take a punt on fighters, and I just think he's a really good fighter, really good fighter. I mean, hey, listen, this is a channel that brought you Keith Thurman, Terence Crawford, Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, Bivol. These are guys that I called way before time and said they're good fighters. And they're not good enough. They're good enough. They all either gone on to be world champion or unified champions or undisputed champions. So I think I'll say that Badou Jack has got what it takes to be. I think he's a stellar light heavyweight. I'm not going to argue with you on that point. I think he's a stellar light heavyweight, and he's got a fight coming up soon. Shout out to Badou Jack for that. Buatsi has a sponsorship deal with Nike. Yeah, okay, fine. You can't compare Buatsi with Buatsi's fought as Olympian, right? I'm talking about you compare Buatsi with Yarde in sponsorship. Are you trying to be funny here? Yarde is seen on Sky shows during the commercial breaks, and he's seen on BT and Box Nation because he's got a sponsorship maxi muscle. Really? That outweighs what he's done with Nike. Then he's got a sponsorship with Adidas, and then the clothing line. No, man, you can't compare the two. And shame because Buatsi's Olympian. Yarde isn't. So you can't compare the two in that sense. Something was Rob versus Peterson. He put up a clinic versus Badou Jack. Badou Jack is legit. His inside game is next to none. This is my point. He is legit. He's got an excellent inside game. Jab will give Yarde fits. Andre Ward, despite beating Kovalev twice, struggled with that jab in both fights. Alvarez also struggled with it and was getting out of box. Kovalev jab is his right hand. I agree with you there, but Kovalev has got no heart. When you back Kovalev up, and I said this before Kovalev got beat, I said when you back Kovalev up, and this guy went back to the amateurs, when you back Kovalev up and you hit him on the chin, he don't want it, he don't like it. And I predicted this before the Andre Ward fight even happened. I said to you guys, if Andre Ward can get on the inside of Kovalev, it's Christmas every time for Andre Ward. He got inside, got to work on the inside, don't know what to do. Most Eastern European fighters cannot fight when you're up close on their chest. Anybody who can get up close on their chest, you have to be highly skilled to do it. When you get up close on their chest, they have got no inside game. From the amateur game, they're all from the outside, mid to long range. They're very good. Up close, they don't know what to do. They really struggle. The reason why at the moment, a lot of the guys they fought are quite similar, who can fight on the outside and fight at distance, and they're better on the outside because their footwork and they're able to move. Once you get on their chest and you're right on their chest, it's a different situation. A different situation. Once they've got some dog and you can take their best shot and you can move forward and start to move your head and you can slip their shots and slip their jabs and start moving inside. But there's not many fighters today that box that way. Inside fighting is a lost art in boxing. And so therefore, the Eastern Europeans have been able to be as dominant as they become now. Look at Klitschko's. Same style on the outside, using a jab. These guys don't like the Klitschko's. They kept it very defensive from the outside, pick you from the outside, and as soon as you get close, they tie you up. But from the outside, they're brilliant. No inside game. So, but Beterbiev is a free puncher, 100% K ratio in the amateurs. KO Duktis in round 1 in the amateurs, and dropped Usyk twice and body shots in 2 different fights. Yeah, I'm saying he's a top fighter, but he again is the perfect example. Can't fight on the back foot, backed up. Look at what Callum Johnson did to him when he was backed up against the ropes. He had no defense, and Johnson tagged him. So that's the way you fight Artur Beterbiev. You've got to back him up. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but that's the strategy you need as a boxer to beat Artur Beterbiev. Back him up. Don't allow him space on his chest and hit him. Because when that happened, Beterbiev didn't know what to do. It was only when Beterbiev got space again, that's when he was able to land those big power shots. And that's where he was hurting Johnson. But Johnson's a good fighter. If he can recover from that knockout defeat and he can brush himself down, I think that guy could go on and become British, Commonwealth, and European champion, no problems. And I'd back him in a world title fight, depending on who he fought for a world title. I'd like to actually see Anthony Yarde versus Joe Smith. That's the sort of fight I'd like to see before he went anywhere near the top light heavyweights in the world. Yes, Yarde versus Jean Pascal. Those are the kind of fights I'd want to see Anthony Yarde in. But again, dangerous. Again, guys like Jean Pascal, they can punch, but they've got that stellar amateur career. Jean Pascal's on the back end of his career, so that would be a good fight I'd like to see. Exactly. Eastern European fighters can't fight on the inside for the most part. Plus, they have robotic and stiff. Listen, you see, Lomachenko is a little different. But again, you saw with the Salido fight, yeah? Guys with that sort of temperament, those sort of fighters that have got grit, that can move the head, that can move inside, that's going to say, you know, I don't care about all that fancy stuff that you're doing. I'm looking to take your head off. Them kind of guys that can track you down. Very few of them fighters today that track you down, take your best shots, walk you down, and start landing hooks to body and head and not giving you space. And you saw how Lomachenko got dropped by, what's this guy? I forgot his name again. I'm seeing him now. I can see him. But anyway, so Lomachenko's a good fighter. He's a very good fighter in this era. But a lot of the guys in this era don't have inside games because a lot of the fighters in this era don't have good trainers that can't train the inside, fight the inside game. And that's where the problem is right there. Jean Pascal is an ancient in terms of boxing terms. How many times has he retired? Linares, that's the man. Linares, thank you so much for that, guys. Yeah, Linares. And Linares is a good fighter. He's ancient, a good fighter. But again, none of these guys that like to take it long, like to fight you long. So I blame a lot of the guys we've got in boxing today, trainers who cannot teach the inside game. Yeah, you know, and so many fighters today in boxing you look at, so many of them today, if they're getting beat, they can't switch up, they can't change game plan. What happened to the cross-arm defense? What happened to the cross-arm defense and walking a guy to the ropes? What happened to bobbing and weaving and sidestepping and you know, making a guy overcommit and then cracking him with a right hand? People like Mayweather did that stuff, but very few have seen that today doing that. You know, so, and that's a lot of things because all this pad work. They need to work on more technical work and fighting on the inside. But yeah, I don't want to spend too much more time on this. I just wanted to talk about those issues and those things. So, they gave Usyk fits in the 2012 Olympic quarterfinals. I thought it was a close fight where I thought should have won and got at least last round knockdown. Usyk was given the win. Okay, he is a dangerous fighter. Linares got dropped a couple of times before the Loma fight. Why do you think Loma hadn't faced a Mexican-style fighter after Salido dogged him? I like Loma though. Yeah, that's it. This is my point. This is my point. I was going to say something like Wilder, but I might just save it. I will save it to another time because I want to go and do my Football Manager now. Right. So enough of that. Thank you all so much for watching. Okoli has no inside game and very awkward. Correct. But nor has Kell Brook. Kell Brook has got no inside game either. Amir Khan, no inside game. Absolutely no inside game. Khan's inside game is to grab and hold you. Grab and hold. That's it. Grab and hold. That's it. You know when you know a guy ain't got an inside game because the first thing he wants to do is grab and hold as soon as you get close. That's a guy who's got no inside game. Big up, Lawless Okoli. I like Okoli, but he needs more work. He needs more work, and he needs to take more time in his career, not rush himself. He needs to take time. He needs to take time. That fight showed him he needs to take more time and, you know, spend more time marinating the hot sauce. Right, I've got to get out of here. Rigondeaux had no inside game. That's why he lost versus Lomachenko. Listen, my man lost before he got in the ring. That's it. Simple as. And I'll let it go. Before you leave, can I recommend a prospect if you've never... Listen, Jaron Ennis has been on BWTM. He has been on Bayloric TV. Check out the interview. Can I recommend that you check out the interview? Can I recommend that you check out the interview? Bayloric TV, The Boots, Jaron Ennis. I think I've got Jaron's number, actually. I might give him a call. So there you go. There you have it. BWTM. Didn't I just tell you about fighters? I just recommend a fighter. Another fight I would recommend to you, Rashidi Ellis. Check him out. Rashidi Ellis was the best US amateur as a welterweight. He's slowly moving through the ranks. Check him out. There's a whole bunch of fighters you need to check out on I did an interview with Evander Holyfield a few years, about a year ago. I did an interview with Evander Holyfield and Evander Holyfield's team of fighters, and quite a few of them are making a name for themselves now. So you need to check those fighters out as well. Kell Brook has inside game, but fights at mid-range. Amir Khan has no inside game. He holds and looks the ref. Oh, no, he's got no inside game. Got no inside game. No inside game. None. Yeah, he's up next. He's next up. I already knew of him, but his last fight was impressive. He was an impressive fighter. So yeah, we'll yeah, I'll have to start bringing some more of these prospect fighters through on BWTM when I can get the time. Yeah, that's it. And we're going to get Jessica McCaskill back on the channel with her WBC belt, which I'm looking forward to see. Yeah, so let me get the hell out of here. Don't forget to subscribe. BWTM Gaming. Get across there and subscribe to BWTM Gaming and check us out. Kenny, you ready? I'm on my way over. Let's see if we can get Brighton into that top 4. I'm out. Take care. If you're not doing anything, check out Round for Round Boxing on BWTM Sports, the latest roster of boxers that are joining the Round for Round boxing game. Check it out and check out and see BWTM Sports actually in the Round for Round boxing game. In early development, hopefully out 2019. We're out. Take care.